This uncle kept me in his house. In the morning, he used to get up at 5 o'clock. He used to make me also get up at 5 o'clock. We used to do gardening. He was a 60-year-old man, so he used to love doing gardening. So imagine I was only 18 and, I was forced to do gardening with him in the morning at 5 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I used to go to the office with him. And after coming back, this uncle of mine liked to have some drinks. So he used to sit with his drinks, and he used to always tell me that whatever you have any questions, write down in a piece of paper, and while we are sitting in the evening in the house, you can ask me the question. So, whatever the different business terms like the LC, the FOB, whatever different business languages I used to ask him the questions, and he used to teach me everything as these are the terms and conditions. He's the one who actually taught me how to make 2 + 2 5 in the business. He kept me for 6 months in the house, and then later on I decided to move out.
You moved very rapidly through that organization. You came in as a sales assistant, and then very, very rapidly you moved up. What were your experiences, and to share with the rest of us, how you actually worked your way through? I mean, was it just sheer hard work? What were you doing at that point in time?
See, I would say that I was given a job as a sales, and I believe I was very good in the sales. Plus the knowledge which was imparted to me by my uncle, and the willingness to learn at that particular time, and of course the hard work, because after that I used to go in the morning at 7 o'clock. During the lunch break also I used to be in the office trying to understand more about the business, and go back in the evening at 7:30, 8 o'clock. So almost like 12 hours when I was working, I used to try as much as possible. And being a good salesperson, I was able to crack in any deal which was given in front of me, like any difficult client, if it was there, my uncle used to entrust on me and say, Rizwan, I want to close this deal. Or any supplier, any negotiations were there, I was interested with that. So luckily I got that opportunity, and which I was able to create that. So I mean, within the short span of time, within 2-3 years, I became the right hand of my uncle, where I was able to manage the whole company whenever he was not there.
Just moving forward from there, we had the Kuwait Crisis. How did that change? Because everything just came to a complete standstill. Iraq invaded Kuwait, and suddenly everything started crumbling again.
Everything was going very well for me. I was 27 or 28 at that time, I would say, not even 26 years old, 18 plus 8, yeah, 26 years old. And at that particular time, I was earning approximately 20 to 25,000 dirhams per month. And that was, I'm talking about almost 24 years ago. That was a good money for any individual who is not a chartered accountant, who has not studied or something like, not studied or got a degree. To earn that 25,000 dirhams, I was fantastically very happy in my job. I got my sister married, I got myself married, and then got a good house in Bombay. Everything going as per the plan, perfectly all right. And all of a sudden, this Saddam Hussein comes from nowhere and invades Kuwait, And now what? My uncle was in London at that particular time. He said, Rizwan, what do we do now? I said, Uncle, you decide, you tell me what to do. He says, you lock up everything and sit in the house. For 2 months, we were in the house. There's a story for that. If at all we have a chance, I'll tell you what we did in the 2 months. 2 months we were in the house, and we all decided that we are going to go back to Bombay. Came back to Bombay, again, absolutely with zero money, because whatever the money I had savings, it was lying in the bank. The bank had seized all the accounts. So only thing which I had was the house. So back to square one, where this Mr. Rizwan Sajan, who was earning 25,000 dirhams a month, had only 75,000 rupees in his pocket in Bandra. So we started my life all over again when I landed over there.
Can we just get a mic here, please? Because I'd like to ask a question from his brother, who will share some of the interesting details of the experience in Kuwait. Sir, please tell us, because your brother got up to a lot of naughty things when he was there, wasn't he?
Well, I still remember that day, 2nd August 1990, when Kuwait was invaded by Saddam Hussein. And during those 2 months when we were in Kuwait, my brother said, we are not going to sit idle. So first we started selling the car oil on the road. And I still remember one incident that when I was selling oil along with him, one Iraqi soldier came and asked me, how much does it cost? I said, 5 dinar. He said, which 5 dinar? I said, Kuwaiti 5 dinar. He said, if you say once again Kuwaiti 5 dinar, I will shoot you. And it's a fact. Then my brother said, this is a little risky business. We stopped selling oil. We started selling vegetables during those days. Uske baad, we started doing telegrams for people because there was no telephone lines, there was no way of contact. So in the Indian embassy people came and asked, "Yahan pe jaan ke faape pade, I mean your life is at risk and you want to do telegram." The whole Indian embassy went against us. But he said, we are only trying to give the information to the people who are in India, and that's what I'm asking. He used to drive down to Basra taking the telegram, do the telegrams for the people and come back. That was such a risky thing, but he managed it single-handedly. And that was the strength of this man. Always powerful.
This is true entrepreneurship. I mean, I think that is what the essence of this entire program is. This whole ENBD series is about entrepreneurship, is about young people hitting hard times and then coming through from that. Before he moves to the next step, what were you feeling at that point in time? Is this was a survival mode, or what was the energy that was coming through for you?
You see, we had nothing to do, frankly speaking. I mean, we were in the morning, every day we were working, and all of a sudden you find not working, you have no money in your pocket, and you have to make some money to survive. And now what to do? Normal trading is not happening, so somewhere you have to make some money. So forget all the egos and again get on the road, start selling the oil, doesn't care who bothers about it. As long as the money is coming by doing some right business, legal business, what's wrong in it?
Yeah. Another one of the icons who came here was Tony Jassim. He had a similar story. Were you in contact with him by any chance at that time?
I was not in contact, but my uncle was in contact with him.
Right.
My uncle was a friend
they had
of his.
exactly the same stories, that they stayed on in Kuwait and helped the people go through. And it's one of the sayings, when the tough get going when it gets tough. So is that where you really became tough and strong?
It came automatically. I mean, that
was your natural
thing, like always a survivor. And if today also you put me in the Africa jungle, I'll probably survive.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you that, if something happened and this place was... And I think that is true entrepreneurs and true business creators like Rizwan. You can drop them anywhere. You can drop them in Africa, in Mongolia, and they'll come out as millionaires and as very successful people. And that's the essence and the juice of the secret of their lives. Sir, you had a couple more stories, please. You came back to Dubai later. Again, you started right at the bottom, 3,000 dirham salary, earning 25, down to 3, no money in the bank, money stuck.
Yeah, now this is a very important thing, which I would want to share with all the people sitting over here. You are earning 25,000 dirhams, and this friend of mine who was in Dubai, he offers me a job of 3,000 dirhams. For normal individual, and I'm sure most of the individual, to accept a job of 3,000 dirhams when he is earning 25,000 dirhams will be direct no. I am not going to take this until something comes which is close to 25 or at least 15 plus. But somehow I felt that give me one opportunity and I will prove it again that I can be the same Rizwan Sajan which I was in Kuwait. And I took that job of 3,000 dirhams. I came to Dubai. And luckily for me, again you see luck plays a very, very important role. I would always believe, when I came back to Dubai with only 3,000 dirhams job in my hand, Kuwait opened out. Saddam Hussein was, thrown away from Kuwait, and Kuwait started buying a lot of material from Dubai because the port of Kuwait was completely destroyed and they required immediate material. And because I was in Dubai, I was able to service them, supplying them forklifts, supplying them trailers, supplying them plywood, supplying them bulbs, supplying them furniture, whatever was required. So every day one truck was going to Kuwait, and this happened for almost 6 months. I was able to make again 15 to 20,000 dirhams in a short span of time. But this journey also lasted only for 6 months, because after 6 months, Kuwait started importing directly. So that journey was only for 6 months.
And that took you to setting up your own business.
Then it was like the company which hired me to job, which offered me a 3,000 job, they were doing a hardware business. Hardware is a good business, but it's a very small business, and the hardware what my friend was doing was very small hardware business. So that was allowing me to make another 3, 4, 5,000 dirhams in the commission. So 7, 8,000 dirhams was never my dream to make, and I told my friend that I'm going to part with you, or we do something, the big business which I have, the steel and the plywood which I had learned from my Kuwait days. He was not prepared to take that risk, and he said, Rizwan, we're going to part, and we parted ways, and I started my own business in that time.
How much capital did you have? Because a lot of people here keep complaining about, oh, well, the banks don't give them money, they can't get loans, private equity people are sitting on the cash. How much money did you have, and how did you make that happen?
The total money which I had when I started my company was 100,000 dirhams, exactly 100,000 dirhams I had. And I said to myself, and I told my wife, I'm going to start this company with this 100,000 dirhams. If I survive for 6 months, and if I'm able to make money, I'll continue my business. Otherwise, in UAE, anybody will offer me a job of 5,000 dirhams, I'm sure about it. So that's how we took that risk. Me and my wife decided that, we're going to start this company. She was my first secretary when we started the company. She helped me.
She was actually the boss, you mean?
She was always the boss.
Can we please acknowledge Samira? She's sitting there. Thank you. What I wanted to say was, when you helped your husband to start out at that point in time, what was going through your mind in terms of, did you think that you'd be here today, 20 years later?
Yes, I was very confident about Rizwan, because I knew the way he was going about. And his motto in life was be positive, be cool, never lose your cool, and don't just give up. So I was sure that he would make it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You had your first son, Adil, and he's obviously very, very dear to you. He's your only son at that time. Can you share your emotions, when he was born and how he came into the family?
Yes, Adil was actually born in Kuwait.
I see, sorry.
Yes, and he was about 2.5 when we came to Dubai.
I see.
So it was a very good experience, because I had a lot to help him and then take after the house also, because we had just started all over again. So it was a little tough for me, but then with this $1 billion smile, it was making things very easy for me also. So nothing was very hard as such, We worked as a team and everything went very smooth, alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There were 3 great icons that we spoke to in the last 1 year. All of them were great in their own ways, but these 3 I can identify because they had similar experiences. The first one was Yogesh Mehta, the second one was Dr. B.R. Shetty, and now Rizwans Journey, who all started with nothing and built up from there. So one of the key similarities between all 3 of them, and if you allow me to say this, was that behind all great men, there's an even greater woman.
Absolutely.
Now, your business moved very fast after that. What did you feel like when you made your first million? Because the first million is the most fun, isn't it?
Yeah, because first of all, to start even if I am thinking about it, that with this 100,000 dirhams which I had, how did I make such a big business? For me also, it's like a fairy tale, but it did happen, because when you initially start the business, most of the people, we wonder that how can we do business without capital. Luckily for me, in the Kuwait days, I was knowing the business of indenting, which is, we call it the brokerage business, where the buyer buys the material, the seller sells the material, and when you get your commission 1 or 2%, and you make your living in that. That's a good business, because there's no investment in that. And with this 100,000 dirhams which I had in my pocket, 60,000-70,000 dirhams went in formation of the company, buying my car, paying a rent for my house. So I had only 25 or 30,000 dirhams left. And the only business which I could do is brokerage, because I had the connection. I had the connection of the people who are selling over here. and the people who can buy had to just connect them. But it was not that easy, right? If you allow me, I can just speak 2 minutes. Because in the initial stages, when I started this brokerage business, I had the suppliers in mind. I took the quotations from them and I went to the people to sell to them. But the people in Dubai whom I went to sell to them were already very big players. They were already buying from these companies. And they said, why should I buy Rizwan through you when I am well connected with them? It was not at all an easy thing to break them. But luckily, again, at that particular time, I got an agency of a particular Japanese product which was in the building material. And that was the turning point of my business, because that Japanese company would not sell any material to any company in Dubai without the brokerage to given to us. Now, once you have that backup from this company, you were able to talk to the buyers, and while selling the Japanese product, you are able to sell in some other products. And that's how we started our base of into the business, where I was making about 30, 40, 50,000 dirhams a May just doing the indenting.
Brilliant. I'll engage the audience a little bit. How many people feel that they can start a business with 100,000 dirhams? Just raise their hands. The second question is that how many people have this limiting belief, and I'm saying this intentionally, this limiting belief that because of all of the big players, we will not be able to make progress. How many people feel that? Only one person feels that. Everybody else can beat up the big players here. Amazing. This is obviously an extremely entrepreneurial group. I appreciate that. So Rizwan, my question's fallen completely flat. So there you go.
No, but frankly, it's not easy. When you are in a business, you start with 100,000 dirhams and you have to compete with the big giants. It's practically nil to not, it's impossible to compete against them.
Yeah, so one of the key things was your ability to sell, your amazing confidence in yourself. But how were you able to get those big deals and for people to trust you like that? What special skill that you have for people to build that trust?
I believe, is the most important thing in the business, that, a lot of people, when they start the business, they always believe in making the money quick. Now, that's where we have a problem. If you are able to create that integrity, when I say integrity, the suppliers who were dealing with me, I was dealing with them in Kuwait days. During that days, also they had, when they used to deal with me, I used to give them the correct report as to what is the market buying, what is the price we can sell, and a proper information about the market. Now, that's where the confidence level of the supplier builds up in you, and they start trusting you. So that's very, very important that you have to work on that.
Excuse me, can we just switch the phones off, please? The second one. At least on vibrate or silent. Thank you. Yeah, so the important thing was that you say that people were in a hurry, but you went from nothing to tens of millions very, very rapidly. How did you build that scale? That's one of the key questions that everybody asks.
Absolutely, because you see, when you're doing an indenting, indenting is not an easy business. I'm sure people who have done indenting, they know you have to please the buyer and you have to please the seller, and at the end of the day, you get 1% or 2% commission, and if either the seller makes a mistake in shipping the material or the buyer makes a mistake in opening the letter of credit, both ways, who is battered is the indenter. So this was going on, but because I had no capital, so I had to go on doing this. There was an incident where a shipment came from a seller to one of the buyer over here. It was about $150,000. The material came with some fungus on, it was a wood material which came with some fungus. Now this fellow, and there was a discrepancy in the LC. So this man did not pay for the document, and he called me from the port. Like I said, the indenter always get battered. Donkey, come here. What is this? What material you have shipped to me? I immediately ran to the port because he's calling me over there. And I looked at it. I said, what happened, Mr. Farooq? Why you are getting so much angry? Look at this. This is material. And the material was covered with some fungus because of the moisture content. Some fungus had developed. It was not that bad material, but because of the climatic condition, it was covered with some fungus. So I told Mr. Farooq that, look, we can remove this fungus, it's not a major problem, and your material will be same like this. So he says, you have just come to Kuwait and you're teaching me my business. I am 25 years in this market and I know how this bad is the wood is. Actually, the wood was not bad, the market at that particular time was bad. And he did not want you to pay for the document. So he rejected the document. The supplier came over here. We tried to plead the buyer like, please accept the document. He started with 70% discount. Then he finally said, I'm going to take it to 50% discount. So I sat down with the supplier. I said, what do we do now? He says, what do you suggest? I said, I told the supplier, I think I should be able to liquidate this with 25% discount without any problem. But the problem is, I don't have the money to pay your document. You'll have to trust on me. Give me this 25% discount on $150,000. Give me this document on consignment basis, and I will clear this material from the port and sell it to somebody else and send back that money. Now, you see, $150,000 is not a small money if somebody wants to trust on you with a person who does not have any money. But again, the integrity or the